Good afternoon, and thank you to the media for being here and providing a platform for us to inform the public on what's been happening the last 2 days. Our community has experienced a series of incidents involving 6 separate shootings across multiple neighborhoods and also a motor vehicle collision that resulted in the death of a passenger. Across these 6 incidents, HPD arrested 4 individuals for discharging a firearm. Another male was arrested on drug charges. While there were no deaths in these firearms-related incidents, 6 people were treated at nearby hospitals. The first incident occurred on July 4th at about 12:04 a.m. at Miley Beach Park, where a juvenile male was arrested for shooting another juvenile male who was there camping. The second occurred a half an hour later in Waianae when an adult male came home and was shot outside his residence. The third incident, also in Waianae at Sewers Beach, occurred at 8:45 in the morning, where 2 adult males in a vehicle were shooting into the water. HPD arrived, located the vehicle and the suspects, and they were arrested. One of the males was only arrested on a drug charge. The fourth incident occurred the same day at 6:30 p.m. in Eva Beach, where a male suspect shot his girlfriend who was seated in the car with him. The fifth incident occurred in Waianae at 8:01 in the morning, at 8 p.m. A male was arrested for discharging multiple rounds from a firearm into the air. The sixth incident occurred in Kalihi early this morning at 1:30, where 4 individuals were injured when a vehicle drove past and discharged multiple rounds. 4 of the victims went to nearby hospitals. The 5th victim was not injured. This is particularly concerning as our community gathers to celebrate the 4th of July holiday weekend. First and foremost, our thoughts are with the victims and their families who have been impacted by this violence. We'd like to reassure the public that 2 of the shootings, while separate, do not appear to be random acts of violence. The safety of our residents is our top priority. Our officers, detectives, and specialized units are actively investigating each of these cases, and we are committed to keeping you all informed as updates become available. In preparation for the 4th of July, HPD increased patrols to have more than 100% staffing levels in Kalihi and Waianae. These enhanced resources will remain in place throughout the holiday weekend. HPD, supported by the Department of Law Enforcement, conducted fireworks-related operations that did not impact patrol and other support units operating in each district to answer 911 calls. I want to remind everyone that the holiday is not yet over. Many families will continue to gather and spend time together. We urge you to enjoy this time with your families, but be responsible, spread aloha spirit, and look out for one another. I would like to say mahalo to the men and women in uniform and the many who support them over these last 2 days. Thank you to our police communications officers, our crime scene units, the vehicle maintenance and dispatchers, our records clerk working throughout the night, as well as our telecommunications personnel who ensure that HPD can communicate in the field. Your support to those in uniform is greatly appreciated. With that, I'll take your questions.
Was this year worse than 4th of July's in past years?
I'd have to get back to you on statistics to verify that, but it does appear, in a short span of time, we had 6 shootings, while 2 were unrelated to where no victims were. They were random shooting, whether celebrating, we don't know yet, but more to find out on that. But it sounds like it could be worse than previous years. Yes, ma'am.
2 days ago, there was a stabbing incident in Makiki, and this morning you guys also had a stabbing incident in Kailua.
Yes.
What does that say about, violence in general on top of shooting?
Well, it tells us that we don't concentrate in just one area. We might provide greater support, but crime can happen in any district at any time. And so we got to be prepared. And not all incidents happen with a firearm involved. There are also bladed instruments are also used. Now, I don't know the exact incidents. I haven't been fully briefed on those incidents, so I couldn't answer questions as to why. But it's concerning that people are hurting each other because a knife in a fight like that or in an incident like that is more personal, or could be more personal.
It seems like a lot of the shootings involved young people. What do you have to say about that?
It wasn't all young people. There were there were a couple juveniles, one victim, one suspect. The rest were adults. And so it just says that it runs the gamut. One of the individuals that was shooting at the beach park was an older gentleman in their 50s.
The fact that it was a holiday weekend like 4th of July, how much of a contributing factor that there was this many incidents that occur in such a short period of time?
Well, it's concerning to us in the fact that, you know, this is a holiday weekend. People are out with their families to enjoy each other, spending time with their neighbors, maybe having a barbecue, maybe you're at the beach, helping to celebrate this holiday, having an extra day off, a 3-day weekend. And so, you know, we're asking you to do that responsibly. We're asking you to spend time. The community knows what's going on out there to some extent, and we're asking for the community to support to help us. Whether you identify or know of individuals that may have firearms, to help report that. You can do it anonymously through Crime Stoppers. You can call your local police station and provide information and help us be part of the solution and not continuing these acts of violence that may happen in your areas because you might know, but you don't want to say anything. So we're asking for your support for that.
And I saw there were a couple of fireworks violations, calls for service. Can you elaborate on what those were?
There were, overall, on a 4th of July, we don't expect a lot of calls for fireworks, although there are some. We get more calls on New Year's Eve, and that's where the large portion. But there was a slight increase over last year the number of calls. In 2024, there were 125 calls for service for fireworks-related incidents. In 2025, or this year, there were 127. So there was 2 more than last year.
And can you say like what were those just for people reporting like their neighbors were shooting off fireworks?
I don't know what all the calls were, but I'm sure that's some of them, yes.
And were there arrests for that? Or people charged?
We don't have all the stats yet. Because the weekend's not over, we're looking more toward Monday, Tuesday to gather the full aspect of what the impact to the new law, the impact on how we're responding to the new law that the governor signed on Monday, and what does that mean to our officers being able to cite and or arrest those individuals that are in violation. So I'll have more answers next week. I believe we're going to do another press conference regarding how this all happened and our support with the Department of Law Enforcement and working fireworks-related operations.
Will you be looking into how these people got the guns, the firearms, and like permitting?
Great question. Yes, we are. We're trying to put together a task force of individuals to take a look at where these guns come from. We haven't recovered all of them. We did recover some. My understanding, they're not ghost guns. These are guns that have been registered, and so we need to know where they came from, how they got a hold of them, and so we're working through all of that. Sir.
Is there a common thread running through these incidents, even though they may not be related?
What do you mean?
Like, does any of these incidents, like, is there anything in common? Like, is there a common thread involved?
They involve firearms and people shooting at each other with firearms. That's your common thread, and you know, I think we as human beings, how do we as neighbors, friends, family, as people that live on this island, how do we work with each other, spread the Aloha spirit, and coordinate with each other into behaving in a manner that's not condoned by society? And so, you know, we're asking the society's help, the community's help in all of that, to know your neighbors, know the individuals, know, you know, the keiki or juveniles that are in your areas that maybe have a propensity to act with violence, and the communities know who they are. And so we are asking them to help us to identify, provide information so that we can help them find a different path to work out either an aggression, work out issues, concerns, or problems other than resorting to violence.
Is HPD seeing an increase in gang activities because the prosecutors said that the killing of the kid in Makaha was gang-related in Makaha? And then yesterday's shooting was in front of the house of where one one of the kids used to live who got murdered.
Which
Are we
one?
seeing the Makaha, the youth with the 4 kids got arrested for the murder?
Okay,
Um,
yeah, yes.
Yeah, and so the prosecutors, in the true bill, the indictment said it was gang related. Are you guys seeing increase in gang activities? Because yesterday, early this morning's activity was younger people getting shot at from a drive-by.
I think what we need to do is further investigate to make that determination whether it is or is not related to gangs. We do have a few gangs that are in our neighborhoods, whether it's in Waianae, whether it's in Kalihi, or other parts of the island. And what is that relationship to each other, and how do they work through issues, concerns, and problems, and whether that's violence or not. So we need to do a little more thorough investigation as to the motive behind each of these shootings to determine if they are or are not gang related. Go ahead.
Do you think educational briefings are sufficient for something like this to prevent it from happening again, or what other steps can you take to educate, the youth?
So one of the things that we're doing specifically in the District 8 or Waianae Kapolei area is we're having school resource officers. So HPD officers in uniform at the schools. There'll be 3 at Waianae and then 3 at Kapolei High School. And their job is to coordinate and get to know, one, the faculty and staff at the school, but more importantly, to understand and work with and mentor the keiki that go to that school. And to get to know who they are, what kind of people, how can they help, how can they mentor them, how can they maybe with our Police Activity League and other resources, maybe try to help these individuals from if they're going to join a gang or to keep them away from that and to have sports and other things. And so that's what we're looking at our school resource officers to do. And if it's effective in those 2 schools, we'll look at expanding that in the future.
Is it started already?
It will start this next school year or coming school year.
I don't know if fortunate is the right word, but with all the shootings that have been happening, are we fortunate that none of them have been really serious injuries?
I would agree to the families and the victims that yes, they sustained serious injuries. Some of them, some others not so much. But the fact that none of them were killed, that's absolutely fortunate for the community at large to better have. How do we as individuals, how do we as a community and society, react to and help our law enforcement be part of the solution? So how do we do that? Even though these individuals are in the hospital, that's still concerning that we have this many people that were injured by a discharge of firearms. But how can we as communities come together to help those individuals, help them recover, but more importantly, understand who may have done this if we haven't arrested those individuals, and then how can you be part of the solution to find them and have them be part of the solution to arrest them so that we can, help protect the community. One of the things I also want to talk about is, many of these individuals have multiple arrests and multiple convictions, and those convictions, perhaps they've done, have they done incarceration? Did they serve a time? Can our court system, can our judges look at what's going on in our community, see this for what it is for the last 2 days and what's happening? And those individuals that come before them is to hold them accountable. If they're found guilty, let's hold them accountable for the crime that was committed, and ensure that there's some kind of, we need, the state to do what it needs to do as far as rehabilitation. But really, we need to make sure that these people are held accountable. If that means incarceration for a number of years, so be it. But you got to keep the community safe, and our job is to help that. But we can't do it all by ourselves. This is a whole of government approach. We need the court system, the prosecution, we need the defense attorneys and the public defenders, and everybody working together to make sure that the streets are safe for everyone, and make sure we have less victims.
Can you tell us which of the shootings had the most serious injury?
I don't know which one was the most serious, but I think the last incident had 4 individuals that were injured. and they were at the hospital. So I think, unfortunately, those 4 victims, not all were very serious, but it's serious in the fact that they got struck by a bullet.
Did the Kalihi shooting happen on Dillingham?
I don't recall Dillingham being in that. I'd have to look exactly at that. Madeline? Good.
And just quickly back to the fireworks, are you surprised that the calls for service went up, given all of the attention that's been around the fireworks?
Well, I think it went up by 2, so I mean, I'm not sure that that's a number that's, made it much more, it's something that we need to be concerned about, but I think the fact that individuals and people know what the law was, perhaps they heard the governor and other individuals like Director Lambert, express what the law meant and what the new ability of law enforcement is to enforce that law. And so perhaps they called to identify their neighbors and say, hey, here's what's going on.
Do you think it'll be easier for police to charge these suspects now that this law has passed?
Yes, absolutely. I think with the new law, while the officer needs to see an individual in the incident who lit the firework and it exploded, but I think the definitions and things are much easier for the officers because the evidence might be destroyed in that it blew up in the air. But the fact that we have a better definition, our officers are better equipped to enforce these current laws. Okay, thank you all.